it really does annoy me, like, because, there's going to be people go out there now again, and electric picnic's happening apparently this September later than usual, and there's going to be a lot of people engaged in drug use, and I really do hope that there's going to be drug testing services afforded above there to people who engage in drug use while attending festivals, because it's a human thing to feckin' do, like. To criminalize people for human nature, for human behavior is just sick. Cocaine use has increased across all age groups. Men aged 25 to 34 are more likely to report cocaine use in the last year. The findings of the survey represent a significant increase in the use when compared to the same cohort of 2014-2015 survey. So again, business is good for drug dealers out there. There's drug dealers out there making feckin' millions, hundreds of millions off the back of people who are using the drugs, and we're missing out on that. Why can't we just sort this out? Like, we could protect the people who use the drugs. It's going to happen anyway. We've been fucking failing at preventing it through criminalizing people for the last 50 years. All we've done is made it more dangerous for them. Like, is that what our goal is? To make it more dangerous, to try to deter people, and sure, the people who die as a result of this kind of approach to make it more dangerous, sure, there's casualties in this war and drugs, and it's okay. That's a sick fucking approach. Like, it's anti-human at this stage. Like, ecstasy is the second most commonly used drug in the last 12 months after cannabis, and has increased in prevalence from 1.8% to 2.2%. The recent use of ecstasy among 15 to 64-year-olds has risen from 2.1% then to 2.7% when compared to the past survey. While cannabis is the most prevalent illegal drug in Ireland, the use of cannabis has shown a decrease from 6.5% down to 5.9% when compared with the past survey. A significant decrease in the instances of cannabis use disorder was also recorded. And again, you look at cannabis use disorder, like, and that's another sham dreamed up by these bloody lunatics who are just hell-bent on demonizing cannabis. Like, because you look into the definition of cannabis use disorder, if you use cannabis and you experience a withdrawal of it, you've experienced cannabis use disorder almost, like, you know what I mean? If you use cannabis and you don't get good sleep tonight, well, that's cannabis use disorder. And this is lunatic stuff. If you use cannabis, or if you stop using cannabis and you experience pains and stuff, it's cannabis use disorder. Again, don't fall for these stupid labels dreamed up by a bunch of lunatics. As that's what they are. They're hell-bent doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and that's a lunatic. Crazy people. That's you, Frank. The majority of respondents, 70.9%, expressed disapproval or strong disapproval for smoking cannabis regularly, and there is a low level of support for permitting cannabis for recreational use. 26%. There was 26% of people didn't want to allow. So what they don't talk is there's 75% of people wanted cannabis to be allowed. So, like, there is a low level of support, 26.2% for permitting cannabis use. Oh, sorry, no, actually, I got that wrong. There was 76% of people didn't want to allow it for recreational use. I would question the legitimacy of this survey. Maybe they had their own people out there just banging in a few, like, or maybe they just kind of twisted the numbers a bit. Like, would they have really published a report that said 75% of people who done the survey? Do you know? Like, who are the people doing it? Like, are these people up there above in the HSE? Or, like, if you're above there in Coomvera, as part of your program, you have to do the survey there for the HSE. Have a think about it, like, for a second. Like, you know, the people who might be doing this, like, in order to get this result. Because you take a look at the recent poll above in, on the journal.ie, and, you know, almost over 19,000 people took part in this poll. Over 19,000 people, like, you know, again, many of this could be bots, whatever. Look, you can call it what you will. There's a potential here for this to be twisted too, but it's a largely different view of it. 80% of people voted in favour of cannabis to be decriminalised for adult use, while only 16.5% voted against it. That's kind of a very large, significant difference to what the findings were of the other survey, which again would bring to question the population that actually engaged with the survey in the first place. Did they just have a bunch of people above there in the addiction services through the HSE to engage in the survey? So many of these people, as you probably might have witnessed on the Eating with the Enemy show that I was on, where I was sitting across the table from Cormac, I think his name was Connor. Can't remember the guy's name, but he was after coming through this 12 steps program, you know, and the whole kind of thing above in Coomvera. I think or was it Cool Minds, I think he said he might have been a part of. But again, like he was after being brainwashed by these people, because he was vulnerable. He was looking for a way in order to get help, and these people preyed upon him. You know, they basically signed him up to what was what could be described as a cult. Do you know, it helped him, like it got him on a better path. Like, but then you've seen, like, if you go and watch that show, the Eating with the Enemy episode that I was on, like you can kind of see how he was being very judgmental towards me at the time, but he wasn't being very honest with me either when engaging with me in conversation. He held back some of his views on me, but he was very judgmental then afterwards. So, you know, you have to wonder, like, he might be better off, but is he a better person as a result? But Frankie boy then anyway had comments to express. Just one final finding: polydrug use has increased when compared to the PRAS survey. In 1/4 of those who reported illegal drug use, who reported use of at least 3 illegal drugs, so 25% compared to 15% in the past one. That's an interesting survey, because again that highlights the need for maybe a bit more education out there around the dangers of polydrug use, because many people are probably engaged in drinking alcohol and taking cocaine. Like, again, that's pretty, that could be a dangerous thing to engage in. Look, if you're going to go out there and engage in cocaine use, then maybe it's better to be having shandies or something, like, you know, decrease the amount of alcohol inside in your beverage, because it's not really going to have an effect on you in terms of get you drunk. It's not going to get you to that level, like, so you should be maybe going for a non-alcoholic beverage then, like that would be my way of thinking anyway. Again, you know, that would be a much more better approach to this polydrug use. Again, looking at other drugs, I don't know what the breakdown of the drugs use was there, but you could look at these things and talk about this and help educate people to divert them away from drugs that would interact with each other in a dangerous way in the human body. And alcohol, you know, is probably not one of the better ones, like. But anyway, Frankie said that while it's positive to see the overall use of illegal drugs use remain stable, there are worrying trends regarding the increase in the use of cocaine and ecstasy and the prevalence of polydrug use. These trends will be addressed as part of the midterm review of our national drug strategy. I look forward to that, Frank. I'll hold you on your word, and I'll certainly be looking in and examining what your approach is. So I hope it's up to standards, you know, and using best available evidence out there, and not just the evidence coming in from your biased parties that you've been working with all along, like the Cannabis Risk Alliance, you lunatic, yeah. He also said that I am pleased, however, to see a decrease not only in the use of cannabis but also in the instances of cannabis use disorder when compared to the past survey. I also note that there is little support to permitting cannabis use to be used recreationally, and the dangers of this drug have been well documented. Have they, Frank? Have they been well documented? Come on, Frank, come on out with the dangers of this drug, you know, and the well documenting of them, because, you know, when you look into some of these surveys and studies, they're not actually well done. They're terribly designed. That the results aren't actually or the conclusions of these studies are not always honest reflections of the results of the studies. And of the methods as well, and the way in which the studies have been carried out. Quite often they're designed in ways in which to construe the results then afterwards, you know. So again, you know, why aren't we talking about the evidence there, Frank, in terms of cannabis use? Why aren't we talking about the hundreds of people out there who are using cannabis illegally, Frank, for chronic pain? because you're remaining ignorant to the, not only the evidence, but to the cries and the pleas from the people out there who need access to this for their chronic pain, and you're doing nothing about it. You're not engaging with these people at all. Almost as if these people don't matter to you, Frank, because they're engaged in illegal drug use. You know, you're talking about you're happy to see it go down. You would be very happy if these people had no access at all to cannabis for their chronic pain, wouldn't you? And they're suffering as a result, or relying on even more toxic alternatives, you know, such as the heavy or dangerous opioids that are available currently for chronic pain. You know, Alicia Maher, who's stuck in Alicante, Frank, you know, and hashtag bring Alicia home. But Alicia was on over 30 different pain medications, or 30 tablets a day, taking 30 tablets a day to treat her pain. And it wasn't until she got access to cannabis that she really seen a better improvement in the quality of her life. Do you know, and Frank disregards that. It makes me want to have a bowl.